but I was getting like really obsessed with it, like, where is this guy?
Yeah.
And I had printed off Google satellite pictures of the whole area, and it was all over my living room and table, and just like, where could he have gone? And where are all these canyons? Like, what would I do if I was out there? And all these things. And then I had informed Caden about it. And so Caden started getting interested in it too, and started calling a bunch of people he knows from the area, like Mystic Saddle Ranch, White Cloud Outfitters, some of the guys that hunt back there. And he's like, at all the places we could be, walks to the exact place. And he's like, oh, it was super light. And he's like, oh, it's probably just some like trash somebody didn't want to haul out of here. And they just kind of hit it. And he opens it up, and it's all these things we know that Bing had with him.
All right, on today's episode of the 1% Podcast, we are joined by Dylan Piva. Dylan and I had the chance of getting acquainted at the Inspire Excellence Awards a few months ago. He and his friend Caden were honored for a role that they played in Saving a Gentleman. We're going to go into that as well. So really inspiring story. Dylan is also the owner of the Yellow Ear Cattle Company, residing in and around Challis, Idaho. So we're going to get into that, talk about ranching, life in rural Idaho, and his experiences growing up there, and then ultimately going through and kind of this heroic effort that you had an opportunity to be part of. So Dylan, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you here. So like start every podcast, letting the audience get to know our guests. So
Okay.
if you don't mind, just kind of talk to us about where'd you grow up, where you from, family, parents, siblings, what life was like growing up, all that stuff.
Sure. Okay. I grew up in northern Idaho in a town called Rathdrum. It's about 30 minutes north of Coeur d'Alene. Grew up there, and I have one older sister. She's 2.5 years older than me. I have great parents that are together. My dad works in industrial construction with like a lot of mines or aluminum or corrugated steel, things like that. And my mother was a stay-at-home mom all the time that I grew up.
Very cool. So having a stable mom in the home, being around, like that adds a lot of consistency to people's lives. I was fortunate to get to have my mom do a similar thing, and I just can't speak to how much stability and, I think advantage that gives to kids growing up that have a present mom.
Absolutely. Consistency and yeah, knowing that I'm supported even if I shot for the stars and failed, that I'd always have my mom and my dad and my family to, pick up the slack or catch me or a
Yeah.
place to go always. So
Yeah.
it's liberating to have a support system behind you.
So growing up, did you play a lot of sports? Like what was life like for you when you weren't,
Yeah.
at home or at school?
I played a lot of sports. I was heavily involved in gymnastics from age 3 to about 12, until I like basketball, football, baseball got a little more time consuming, and I got a little too tall for gymnastics. I think at that point the tallest Olympian ever was 5'7",
Okay.
and I'm about 6 foot tall.
Okay.
So kind of grew out of the sport and decided to go play those ones with my school, but then played basketball, football, and baseball all through high school. Except basketball, I didn't play my last 2 years.
Okay.
I was starting to focus on baseball and doing a lot of winter workouts, and played on a fall team called the Idaho Cubs that they select some of the top high school prospects from Idaho, and we go play College of Idaho and NNU and a bunch of the schools around.
Yeah. Very cool.
Kind of focused on too.
So you had the opportunity to go to Carroll College.
I sure did.
Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so I was more dedicated to baseball. I had a lot of offers to go play afterwards, after high school, but I tore my UCL pitching my senior year, so I watched a lot of the money and the offers go away, and I kind of became jaded because of that. So instead of going through like a rehab and not being able to play, I elected not to get the surgery and looked for a college football opportunity, and Carroll College offered me that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What positions did you play? What was that experience like? Did you enjoy that? Did you learn a lot from that? Like what were some of the takeaways from there?
Um, I played outside linebacker in college, and it was kind of a difficult experience for me. I don't think that I had like the best relationship with the head coach, and I didn't get a lot of playing time. Uh, but it taught me a lot about discipline and just like real hard work. And it was a humbling experience to be like at the top of baseball and the top of football in high school, and then get to experience being an athlete that's not at the top
Yeah.
in your program and not getting to play. And I think having that experience has made me a better youth sports coach now because I kind of understand, kids that aren't the stars and kids that are the stars.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, it definitely adds perspective. I'm an advocate. I own a youth club football organization, and I'm an advocate for kids playing lots of different sports. And there's opportunities now to pretty much play year round in whatever sport you're in, right? Whether that's football, basketball, baseball, whatever. My girls dance, year round dance, gymnastics, soccer, whatever it is, volleyball. But I'm a big advocate for kids playing multiple sports simply for those reasons that you said, right? Like the bigger ponds you find yourself in, generally you're going to have bigger fish that you're going against. And so there's going to be opportunities to maybe be the star on one team or in one sport, but to not necessarily be in another sport. And that's important for kids to learn. I think it's important for kids to learn what it's like to be a role player, to just have to be a good teammate, to have to struggle and to not just be, hey, like they're the best player at everything. And the coach is always clamoring, oh, you don't have to go to practice. It's okay. Like if you can't make it or they're not working hard or anything like that. I think that in a lot of cases, it sets these kids up for massive failure later in their life because they've never known what it's like to actually have to work hard. They've never known what it's like to have to grind or to be a good teammate or to, do any of those difficult things like work their way into a position.
absolutely.
Maybe because they're already there because they're just naturally gifted.
Yeah. Yeah. That adversity strengthens us. And something I try to practice lately in my life is being thankful for like the good times and the joy. That's easy.
Yeah.
But also being thankful for like the pain and suffering too. Some of my hardships in my life have led to other successes,
Yeah.
shaped and molded me. So if you can get exposed to that through sports or whatever it may be, I agree it's going to
Yeah.
benefit anybody.
So after Carroll College, what kind of between then and now kind of fill that gap in for us a little bit?
Okay, yeah. 6 months after I graduated, Carroll, I moved to New Zealand. So uh, I had, in between that time, I'd been working at a drug and alcohol rehab center called Rainbow's Inn Recovery Center, located slightly north of Challis on the Salmon River.
Okay.
I was kind of doing like a half paid, half internship. I had the health sciences degree from Carroll and thought maybe I'd like to be like some sort of a counselor or therapist. So got involved with that and was like leading some meditation, sitting in on group therapy sessions, just being like a fly on the wall and adding knowledge that I had. And I was leading some outdoor recreation activities. And then just being, they wanted to create like a home environment, not like a white wall institute
Yeah.
where you felt like a patient. They wanted to feel like a home and like they cared about them. So part of my job was just being there, and just trying to positively influence and connect with the clients that were there. And my life had been like really great. And these people had faced adversity that I'd never maybe even heard of, between just whatever had happened with their drug addictions or legal trouble or mistakes they had made or traumas that weren't even their fault, maybe from their parents or something, some perpetrator doing something to them. And maybe this was in my own mind, maybe it wasn't, but I felt like part of my job was kind of to like reassure them that like life is good, man. And like, I know you're at rock bottom now, but like you can recover and like, it's worth being here. It's worth putting effort towards this. Like you can be happy. But I kind of started to question, like, am I only confident in saying this because I've had a great life and because I've been cared for and I've been supported? Like, should I even be telling this to people? Do I have the experience to like truly believe what I'm telling them? And so part of that inspiration to move over to New Zealand was to get myself out of my comfort zone. what would life be like without a big family that was supporting me and would show up and loan me tools and be there? What if I had no connections? What if I had no house, So I wanted to move over to New Zealand
Good.
to like gain that experience if I could like create contentness and happiness outside of like the given life that I had just been blessed
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
And so moved over to New Zealand the day it turned 2020 and got over there and I went with my best friend. His name's T.
And how old were you at the time?
Uh about 23.
Okay.
Yeah. So he went to College of Idaho, played baseball there, and I went to Carroll. So we hadn't been in close proximity for like 4 years, but maintained a really good relationship and both decided to go over there together and got to Auckland, spent all our money on a van that you could live out of, started looking for a job, got a job with a kiwi orchard pruning service. We would get hired to go to a bunch of orchards and met some people and we went on a hike. These guys wanted to go on like a sunrise hike. Like, let's leave at 3 in the morning. We'll be at the top of the mountains for sunrise. We're like, cool, yeah, sweet, let's do it. Went, did the hike, came back, and our van had been broken into, and every single thing that we brought over there had been totally swiped. We'd barely even unpacked our van yet. We're big fly fishermen. We wanted to spend a lot of time fly fishing. We had our rods, waders, everything in like a Sims taco bag, swiped. We had our favorite 3 shirts, our boots, our best rain jacket, our best puffer jacket, swiped. We had nothing. And it was definitely shocking, but it didn't take that long for me and T to realize that like it's kind of what I asked for. Like I wanted to have an experience about like kind of getting chopped down or like having less in my life. And then like the universe provided that, it's like, okay, you just got hit in the face and can you build contentness? Can you find help to get through this? Can you still find happiness even though you just lost all your material items? And so that was the start of the trip and it's just an amazing experience for me to go over there and have that.
So how long did you guys stay in New Zealand for?
I stayed a year and a half.
Oh,
He
wow.
stayed a little longer.
Okay. Very cool. So you come back. How'd you make your way to Chalice and
Mhm.
starting your business? What did that look like?
Yeah, yeah. I came back because I think I got a little bit, I desired deeper connection than like the transient lifestyle. So I was like working for like a month
Yeah.
and then taking time off and then fly fishing a bunch and then another place. And I had all these like cool connections, but they were so temporary. I was like, I want to be in a spot where I can like really get to know people and really maybe have an impact on the community. So that was kind of why I decided to leave and came back to Idaho, wanted to get back in the health sciences field and found a job with Blue Fire Wilderness Therapy. They're located pretty much based in Gooding, and then there are field operating areas in the Bennett Hills in between Gooding and Fairfield. And worked there for 2 years, worked my way up to be a head field instructor. So the clients that come there come from all over the country and they get outfitted with a backpack, sleeping pad, all the gear you could need to survive, and they spend, depending on the client, like 2.5 to 3 months living in the Bennett Hills. And then different instructors come in and supervise and live with them 2 weeks at a time, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And then therapists are coming in and doing personal sessions, group therapy. We'd leave the Bennett Hills and do equine therapy. We'd have adventure weekends where we'd go mountain bike riding, rock climbing, canoeing. I taught primitive skills, like every client harvested and made their own bow drill set, learned how to start a friction fire. We do a Thursday through Sunday backpacking trip that I would plan for my group, and they'd learn how to use a map.
What type of clients are coming to do these sorts of things? Like what did a kind of typical client within the
Yeah, there's several different groups, so it kind of depends on what group you're with. But I would typically work with what they call the B1 group, and then later in my Blue Fire career, I worked with the young adult group. So the B1 group was like 14 to 17-year-old kids that might have struggled with like violence at school, drug use, suicidal ideation, um, some self-harm, just stuff like
Mental
that.
health.
Yeah, mental health. Yeah, mental and behavioral. And then the young adult group, they were over 18, typically like 18 to 21 or 22, but more so on the younger side. And they were a little different. Maybe some of the issues could like overlap, but they were more like had a really traumatic experience in their life. Um, sexual abuse. That it was co-ed at that point. Um, it was shocking how popular. Seemed like one in every group. The groups would be anywhere from like 8 to 12 kids had experienced like a school shooting, and were too scared to go to school, dropped out, turned to drugs to cope, and just they can't get their life started.
Yeah.
So that those are the groups that I typically worked with.
Okay. So then moving forward from there to eventually starting your own business, what did that look like?
Mhm. Um, yeah, kind of some personal reasons in my life, I decided to step away from Blue Fire. And on my 2 weeks off, I'd been coming back to Challis a lot as well as traveling a lot. But all through high school and college, I'd always come back to Challis in the summers for some period of time and work with my cousin Caden, who was logging and ranching. So I had a lot of experience doing that. Went back to Challis, got involved in that again with him. And then in 2023, had an opportunity to invest in some cows, and we partnered up together and bought some more cows. And then he had his own that he owned as well, just him. But yeah, became a little more involved in it, and then have progressed from there.
Very cool. What's something that you've learned being a business owner?
Something I've learned being a business owner. Uh, I think I've gained better ability to ask for help. And just like I can't know everything about ranching. You got to be a vet, you got to be a builder, you got to be a mechanic, you got to be a farmer, you got to raise hay, you got to fix pipelines on the range, and I didn't have all those skills, and it was really comfortable for me in my life to stay in something that I was good at, and and hard to admit that I don't know something, but I've had to admit that, and I've had to seek help, and I've had to learn new skills. So that's something that's been improved in my life since owning yellow ear cattle.
What's been the most fulfilling thing that you have enjoyed about being a business owner?
I think just like the visual of creating something. Like I'm a producer, like I create a product that I believe in. It's all grass fed, grass finished beef, and I think that's important for our country, anybody,
Yeah.
humans to have,
Yeah.
and as well as the grass, which I this is my first year totally being responsible for irrigating the grass fields and growing the hay crop. But it's really satisfying to like have to care about something and raise it and be able to see it start to work the more effort and care you put in.
Yeah. Love it. What you're doing now is very different than what it sounds like you'd kind of envisioned doing as you were going through college or even coming out of college.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say are the primary differences between, I'll say it as the mindset of, I got to go get a job somewhere versus I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to start my own business and I want to be a producer, as you said.
Mhm. Um, what was like the mindset shift
Yeah,
that made it that?
the difference between, I mean, I'm guessing this isn't what you envisioned when you were in college, that I'm gonna go start a ranching business, right?
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. I jumped on an opportunity, and I thought I like the freedom of it. I like making my own schedule and I like the variety of it. As soon as you're tired of feeding the cows every day in the winter, then they're gone and you're starting to raise hay. And as soon as you're tired of raising hay, you got to take care of the range and there's just you're taking care of equipment and you're trying to learn about this animal, like animal science and how to treat them right and how to doctor them. And it's just there's so much variety and freedom to it. Um, and seasons, I like seasonal work. I really liked seasonal work in New Zealand because I could like work hard, earn money, and then take time to just live my life without like a job. And I liked the Blue Fire schedule of 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off because I had full-time pay, but was only working 6 months out of the year. So I had a lot of time to just create like, what do I like doing, you know? And so the cattle industry, there is some of that, there's times you're super busy and you're putting in extreme hours, and then there's times when you're might be a little bit ahead and you can afford to take some time to do something else, like coach a youth team
Yeah.
or, whatever it may be.
What's one piece of advice that you would give to your college age self based on what you've learned?
Hmm. I think just focusing more on like personal connections. I felt like extremely tied to my hometown in college and was kind of like trying to hold on to that, and maybe didn't invest in personal connections as much in college. Just like, oh, I'm only going to be here temporarily and then I'm going to go live a different life. And I feel like I wasted some connections and opportunities there. So I would have liked to build more and deeper relationships with the people that I went to college with.
Okay. So I want to kind of fast forward to this experience that you had with your cousin Caden and this gentleman named Bing.
Mm,
If you don't mind, just kind of set the scene for us a little bit, kind of give us the background and the story of what happened. He goes missing, how you became aware of it, how you and Caden found out about it, and kind
sure.
of start telling us the story.
All right. So I was involved with Custer County Search and Rescue when this happened. So
And when exactly did it take place?
August, I don't want to say the year because
Okay.
I don't know for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
In the summertime, several years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I was involved with search and rescue, and was in Chalice and got the call. It pops up on your phone, and you don't say anything. You just listen, and they give you a super short debrief. We got an 89-year-old missing hiker. He's overdue, and you can show up to the headquarters if you can. And so, you got a go bag with everything you would possibly need to survive and help somebody out there if you were the one to find them, and grab the go bag, head to the headquarters and get debriefed on the situation. And Bing was set out to hike from Trail Creek, which is a road that connects like Sun Valley area to Mackey. And then there's a trails on map that go from there to, he has a piece of property, a ranch in the East Fork of the Salmon River. And I believe it's about 20 miles is what he was trying to do over 5 days. And he told his daughter that if I don't show up on the fifth day, you know, call somebody.
Come looking
I
for
didn't
me.
make it. Yeah. And
Which at 89 years old seems remarkable, number one, even in the first place that he was doing it. But from what I understand of the story, he did stuff like this regularly, right? Like
yeah,
this was
he's
part of his,
passionate about it. He's got 30 plus years of experience solo backcountry hiking, all in, I mean, I don't know exactly where,
all
but
over that area.
definitely in
Yeah.
Idaho.
Yeah.
But he'd never been in this area,
Okay.
which is like Jerry Peak Wilderness. And then I think maybe even touch into the White Cloud Wilderness as well. They butt up against each other. Yeah, so we debrief and the commanders make a plan, and we split out into teams, and I go out that night with several other search and rescue members, and we hike up, and but we have to come back before it's dark. It's just part of protocol because you don't want to create more of a catastrophe by losing everybody in search and rescue. Uh, so we were unsuccessful that night. Come back. Get invited to go the next day, get with another fella, and me and him are going in. And we start hiking up. We're going to try to make it as far as we can into the Herd Creek area that would eventually turn into East Pass, part of his highlighted route. We had a map that he'd highlighted his route he was going to take. And then there was a point of decision where he was going to decide to go out the Taylor McDonald Creek or go out Herd Creek. But he just said, based on how I'm feeling and time frame, I'm going to make that choice then. So we're doing that, and then they informed us that a Black Hawk helicopter from National Guard was going to be coming down that same canyon that we were going up at some point today. And so we're working our way up it, and then
As part of the search and rescue.
as part of the search and rescue. Yep. And here comes the Black Hawk helicopter, and they get pretty close to us, and the guy slides the door open and reaches out and like intensely points up the creek like 3 or 4 times like this. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like there's something up there for sure. Maybe they found him, whatever. And we have radio communication, and the other fella gets them on the radio, and they're like, we knew Bing Olbum had a blue tarp with him. And they're like, there's a blue tarp underneath like an old dead snag tree by this creek. Like, we're going to go up there and hover right above it. You guys work your way to it and check it out. So just pumping, going up. The trail had pittered out at this point, so in a pretty tight canyon, lots of slide rock, shale. Work our way there, across the creek, and I felt like I just knew when I saw that tarp, like, leaned up kind of against the base of a tree that I thought he was gonna be dead underneath there, but, like, I knew I had to look. And so we look underneath, and it's nothing, and then you start surveying the situation a little more, and it's, like, super old, like, nothing that said it's been out there for a long time, and there's some other random camp gear, like, maybe some hunters or whoever just discarded some stuff, probably because they didn't wanna pack it out. So that was, like, day 2, and then, um, day 3 and 4 of the search, I was put on standby, for reasons that totally make sense for what search and rescue was doing with drone teams and helicopters and search and rescue teams from Boise. Um, but I was getting, like, really obsessed with it, like, where's this guy?
Yeah.
And I had printed off Google satellite pictures of the whole area, and it was all over my living room and table, and just like, where could he have gone? And where are all these canyons? Like, what would I do if I was out there? And all these things. And then I had informed Caden about it. And so Caden started getting interested in it too, and started calling a bunch of people he knows from the area, like Mystic Saddle Ranch, White Cloud Outfitters, some of the guys that hunt back there, the Bakers, which own cattle in the East Fork and have range somewhere in that area, and just started trying to get information about, like, well, what is this area like, and what do you think would have happened because you live and work back there. And everybody starts, maybe not everybody, but it's a common theme that, like, well, there's this place called the Impassable Canyon, and the trail totally dies there, and it hasn't been maintained. It doesn't even exist. I think the outfitters maybe have a really high trail, way high, but they're like, you'll never find it if you don't know it's there. So we start kind of honing in on this Bowery Creek, East Pass Creek, confluence, Impassable Canyon area, and are thinking, hey, that's where we'd like to look. And then Caden's making all these calls, and he's getting connected with, like, Sarah Baker, and she's saying, okay, Mike Boren is willing to fly people out, like, to the edge of the wilderness, so you can not have to spend a bunch of time hiking in, and you can get
What was Mike's
access.
connection to the area?
He's on Sawtooth, search and rescue. He grew up in Challis, and yeah, just kind of like a local guy. And so, and she's like, yeah, he'll take you, if you want. And we're like, okay, yeah, we're in. Never met the guy. I'd never met Sarah Baker, and show up to his ranch in the East Fork the next day, get in his helicopter, and he gives us, like, lots of laps around the area. I'd been studying it a lot, from satellite, and Caden and I were really confident, this is where, like, the mindset starts coming in of just like, it's not, I don't want to sound like not humble, but it's not that hard. Like, I 100% believe he's out there, and there's only the X amount of canyons that you could possibly walk out. So what do you have to do to find this person? Look in every single canyon that you could possibly walk out of, and you'll eventually find him. And we're, like, getting psyched up, like, we can do this, and, like, we're the perfect guys for the job. We have all this experience, like, we're in shape, like, yeah, we're doing it, and we can.
Because there's a lot of variables that go into someone potentially being able to do this, right? Like having the background, having the experience,
Yeah.
physically being capable of doing it, mentally being capable of doing it.
Yeah,
know,
and
maybe
just
the
having the time. Like, we didn't have 9 to 5 jobs.
Yeah.
Like, we put up all the hay the day before we went out. Cows were on the range, and it was like, we're pretty free, like, we don't have to do anything. Of course, there's things we could be doing.
Sure.
But, like, man, we're actually in a
Perfect
spot where
situation.
we can go and we can dedicate a lot of time, so let's do it.
Yeah.
And, but there was a point of doubt when we were flying around. It was like, whoa, this is big country. Like, oh my gosh, the vastness was just intimidating, and it was like, this might not be as easy as we think, but it's just like that faded, after a little bit, and got back to the point of, like, well, we're still doing it, and it's possible. It's definitely possible. And so we get dropped off in an area that we want to, and had kind of planned with Sarah and what I knew about where people had looked, and we were going to look in this area called Middle Canyon. But pretty quickly we decided to ditch that plan. When you're out there looking at the terrain, it felt like there's no way he's in here. Like he's got the experience, and you wouldn't end up here, I don't think. So we were drawn back to the impassable canyon, Bowery Creek confluence area. And also, the family had hired a psychic, and the psychic had done a reading and circled that area, and yeah, had kind of told a story about him falling and that he was out there and alive but hurt. His glasses were on the trail, and so we were also, Caden in particular was drawn to that area because of what this psychic had told the family. So we start making our way towards that, and we're going down, and we're probably like 30 yards away from each other, just kind of combing through with the trail in the middle.
Sorry, I'm pause really fast. So at what point, how many days in on the search are you now?
Well, this is day 10 of him being out there, but it's day 1 of me and Caden looking
Okay.
together.
So he's been gone for 10 days, doesn't have sufficient food and water to, be surviving that long.
Yeah.
Doesn't have provisions, whatever.
Yeah.
And has been missing for like 5 days now. And this
Yeah.
is day 1 of you and Caden going out trying to find him.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're going along, and Caden stops and kind of looks like intently over into the woods. And I'm like, oh, he sees something, and mind you, I'm like trying to find somebody. So I'm, trying to look for a human shape, but I feel like I thought I saw a man. It was like sitting on a log, and I thought he was like wearing camo or like darker clothes. I was like, oh my gosh, like there's a hunter out here or something. But then it kind of like diminished, and it wasn't there. And Caden was like, do you see there's something carved on that tree? And we walk up to this tree, and carved in it, super old carving, it says Pete's Route 1921. And Caden and I's great grandfather, his name is Pietro, but he immigrated from Italy and started going by Pete. And he first settled into the East Fork area and was running sheep up there in that time frame. So we're pretty sure we found, and none of our family knew this was out here, a tree carved by our great grandfather, that he maybe took that route to just run sheep on the range, or maybe used it to get to Trail Creek, to get to Mackey for supplies, whatever. And I don't know, but like I feel like maybe I saw his spirit sitting there. So that was interesting happening. And we continue on, and we're getting close to the area we want to be. And I'm looking at his map, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to pretend like I was him. Like I'm doing this. I'm trying to find this split off and go down East Pass Creek. I'm walking, but there's no split off in the trail ever. And so it started taking you out Bowery Creek. And you start getting out Bowery Creek, and I was like, well, I think at about this time I would realize I'm not going the right way. I need to be going down that canyon. I'm headed out this saddle. So I was like, okay, I think maybe right about now I would get off of the trail and head back the way that I thought was supposed to be going. So that's what we did, and we're walking 30, 40 yards away from each other. And now I'm going to flip to Caden's perspective, which I feel confident telling his perspective because I know him really well, and I've heard him tell the story a lot of times. It might not be 100% accurate, like if he told it, but pretty close.
Sorry, Caden, this is what happens when you're not here.
And so he's walking along, and maybe starting to get like a little bit frustrated. Like, geez, where is this guy? And we're the only ones out here looking for him. And we'd found a bunch of old stuff, like old lean-tos and old camping stuff and old gear and just like all this old stuff. And he was thinking like, why am I finding all this old stuff? Why can't I find anything new? Like, why can't I find anything of Bing's, And then just was asking God for help. Like, man, I really want to accomplish this and do it, but I feel like maybe a little bit lost and a little bit like what do I even do? There's so much area and there's two of us and I need help.
You're looking for a needle in a haystack.
Yeah. And so he's having those conversations and with himself and his own dialogue and he thought he's got two twin boys. And I remember him telling me that he thought about his boys and they're pretty lucky finding shed antlers. And he asked him one time, how do you guys find all these like arrowheads and shed antlers and stuff? And they're like, oh, we just follow our feet. So Caden's like, okay, I'm just gonna walk. I'm just gonna follow my feet. And mind you, we're off the trail in sagebrush, sparse timber. And he's walking along and he kicks a dark, like black garbage bag wrapped up and shoved underneath the sagebrush. And he's like, at all the places we could be, walks to the exact place. And he's like, oh, it was super light. And he's like, oh, it's probably just some like trash somebody didn't want to haul out of here. And they just kind of hit it. And he opens it up and it's all these things we know that Bing had with him. It's water shoes, a bag of peanuts, a blue tarp, tent, all this stuff. And we know it's Bing's. And we're like, oh my gosh, like we're close. He's around here. And so we get on the inReach with Sarah. And
So now all of a sudden your search went from it could be any one of these places. We thought it might have been here to now, like okay.
At least he was here at one
Yes.
point, And so we're getting really excited about it. And we knew that like just because we found this doesn't mean we're gonna find him in any sort of like
And the likelihood of him being alive is pretty small at this point, right? 89 years old. He's been out there for 10 days.
Yeah, exactly. I personally maybe didn't have the greatest hope that he was alive, but Caden did. Caden thought he's alive. And we get on the inReach, tell Sarah, we just found all this stuff and we think that he's heading out Bowery Creek. Like that's what we decided in our minds. Like he dropped this stuff for whatever reason, well, not whatever reason, to like get rid of weight. And now he's headed out Bowery Creek because this way is no trail, super hard canyon, and that's the last place you would like know where you're at. And so we're like, you got to get somebody to come up that trail right now. At this point, it's like 7 or 8 at night, almost getting dark. And Junior Baker and Charlie Campbell heed the call. That they put in a ton of effort to looking previously and got all their stuff, horse trailer, horses, came out and started riding up Bowery Creek. But I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. Before that happened, Mike Boren, yeah. I might actually omit a little bit of the story. But we confirmed that it was his stuff, and I thought he might be like right there. So I started flying around. There was all these big cliffs and just like screaming his name. I was like, maybe he just dropped this stuff, got to a high point to like check out the area. To no avail, come back, meet with Caden. We're like, hey, now what? And we know Charlie and them are coming up Bowery Creek. We think he's headed out. And we're like, well, what if we're wrong? Let's split up. We'll send one of us up Bowery Creek and one of us is going to continue down Impassable Canyon in case we're wrong and he's that way. So I go down Impassable Canyon. It gets dark. I set up a camp, shut off all my inReach and radio because I think I'm prepared to stay out there for 6 days and potentially receive another food supply and stay out there for like an indeterminate amount of time. And so I shut it all off. Caden starts hiking out. He thinks, oh, I'll run into Junior and Charlie at some point, and then we'll spend the night and continue looking in the morning. And Junior Baker and Charlie Campbell ran into Bing Olbum on the Bowery Creek Trail that night, sometime super late in the night. Maybe like midnight or something, and I think they might have got him out at like 3. Those are my best guesses. I'm not exactly sure on the timeline.
So he's alive. He's walking down the trail.
He was sleeping across the trail, laid in the trail, sleeping.
So hoping that if anyone was coming, they were going to come on the trail.
Yep.
It's his best chance of being found. What was his status at the time when he was found? Was he injured? Was he sick? Was he
not injured? I've relatively good shape, I think, for what you would expect, but he was pretty weak. I've heard, I wasn't there, that I believe Junior got off his horse. They got Bing on the horse. Junior held him up while they rode out because he was a little wobbly and weak to stay in the saddle.
Yeah.
And then Charlie rode his horse and led the horses out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Caden was going up the trail and thought, man, I should like run into them by now. But never did. But then they'd left a note on a sandwich wrapper that like, we got him headed out. And then Caden knew that was like his ride out of there, and he didn't want to spend the night. So he starts hauling butt to try and catch them so he can leave with them. He doesn't, but a guy that's done some logging work for him had heard about us doing this and wanted to get involved and come help, and came up there in the middle of the night and happened to be at the edge of Bowery Creek on a total random chance, and picked up Caden in the middle of the night, took him back to Junior Baker's. Yeah, I spent the night out there, woke up in the morning, turned the inReach on, was going to start looking, and the inReach messages started coming in, and they were coming in out of order. And I had these messages from Sarah that was like we're coming to pick you up, and you can come out. And I was in the middle of texting back, like, no, like, I'm good. Like, I'm staying, all good. And then they came in and they'd found him, and just massive relief. And, yeah, then I got out of there that day.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for someone like myself that's just hearing about the story, the fact that you guys had the skills, you were willing and able to go do it. Like, you look at all those things that had to line up in order for you guys to be willing, able, skilled to be able to go be there to help participate in that. It was really inspiring. It was inspiring to me. It was inspiring to everyone that I interacted with at the event. And so, no doubt that there was divine intervention in that, and that there were, things that took place, and you guys having those experiences. And no, it's an incredible story. So
Yeah. Thank you.
thank you for sharing with us. We appreciate you being here. If people want to get in touch with you, if someone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way for people to be able to reach you, Dylan?
Oh, I have like an Instagram.
Yeah.
I guess,
Okay.
Instagram, Facebook. If somebody wanted to reach out on there, I'd be available on those platforms.
Okay, we'll make sure that we tag you in the podcast and any clips that we have. But
Cool.
appreciate you being here, joining us today. Thank you for recounting the story for us. And
Yeah.
it's interesting to look back as you kind of tell the story about your life and the skills and the things that you learned and all of your experiences leading up to that. That you and Caden, it sounds like, were the perfect guys in the perfect place at the perfect time. And so
Yeah, it all worked out. And like on your form, you had some stuff about just like mind frame,
Yeah.
philosophy, and things like that. And yeah, if I could speak about that a
Please.
little bit,
please,
who is just like absolute doggedly determined to do this, and that we could, and we were going to be successful. Like
where do you think that came from?
just the will to help somebody else, help somebody out, and like, how do you solve this problem? And it's boots in the dirt looking until you succeed. Like, you're not going to fail if you never stop looking. So it was just like, I didn't get really tested in that because I didn't have to spend a week or 2 weeks or however long out there. So maybe that fades after a while, but at the start, it was like, I'm going to stay out here, and I'm not going to fail because I'm not going to stop, you know? And so just like a positive,
Such a great
mind
lesson
frame.
for anything, right?
Yeah.
Life, business, sports, like anything that you're doing, like, it's impossible to beat someone that doesn't stop.
Yeah.
No, love that. You seem like a guy that has a tremendous amount of confidence in your ability to do hard things, to do new things, to go move halfway across the world, to like just go try
Sure.
this variety of experiences, to have the confidence that, hey, we're gonna go out and we're gonna go find this guy. Like, we can go find him. Like, no doubt we can go find him.
Yeah.
But also you sharing those patterns of putting in the work and putting in the preparation. Where do you feel like your confidence has come from? And has that been something that you've just kind of always had? And is that a pattern that you learned somewhere of, I believe that confidence comes from preparation. It comes from evidence of knowing that you can do hard things, right? So the more hard things you do, the more confidence you have that you can do it. Where do you feel like that came from for you?
I feel like the very beginning origin story would be looking up to my sister. So she was a super high level ballerina growing up, and from an extremely young age would leave in the summers and go dance with Pacific Northwest Ballet Intensive, then on to ABT, American Ballet Theater in New York, and then got invited to dance with the Bolshoi Theater in Moscow, Russia, and moved over there when she was 16 and trained and danced with them for a year. And being her little brother and seeing that, I felt like, holy crap, like, just because 'cause we're these small town kids from Idaho, like, she's doing things on, like, a world-class scale, and she's not scared, and she's doing it, and she can, and she worked her butt off to do it. And so it just made me feel like I could do that too. I could do whatever I wanted to do, you know? Like,
Was that something that your parents instilled in you? I mean, obviously, that would have taken a tremendous amount of support from them
oh, yeah.
to go do that.
Oh, yeah, they worked hard to be able to provide the training and taking her around and support and all the hard nights and long hours, so huge support system behind both of us.
And do you feel like they helped instill that confidence in you of, like, telling you that you could go do it, of, like, pushing your sister? Was she just kinda naturally driven that way?
I feel like she has a huge natural sorry to cut you off there a little bit,
No, no,
but
yeah, just go ahead.
propensity to just yeah, just an extreme drive, and I want to do something and just like, yeah, a willingness to strive for perfection.
You know,
Especially if I mean, my parents are successful people as well, so, like, yeah, it's all trickles down.
yeah, I've just noticed that, life is all about patterns, right? And the quicker that you can recognize a pattern recognition, and then pattern integration, are the people that are gonna be the most successful in whatever they do. And one of those patterns that I have come to recognize is that people who are confident and that are capable would be good at anything they did, right? It didn't matter whether they decided that, hey, I want to go be a professional football coach, or I want to be an attorney, or I want to be a world class ballerina, or I want to be a rancher, like whatever it is, like you're going to be successful at it, right? And it
Yeah.
just becomes a state of mind, a belief in yourself and your capabilities, and being willing to put in the work associated with it. But people that are good at one thing, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, famously said, the way that you do something is the way that you do everything.
Mm,
And that people don't change who they are. It's simply their circumstances that change, right? Like, so if you have a belief and a mindset and a set of patterns that govern your life, regardless of the circumstances, where you're living at, the situation, like you're going to find a way to
yeah,
be successful.
yeah, yeah. Another thing, a tool that I use, I don't even know where I read it somewhere, is, like 8 seconds of courage. So, like, I'll have some huge dreams and ideas and things I wanna do, and it's, like, almost instantaneously that, like, the doubt hits, like, "Oh my gosh, is that too much, or could I really do that, or do I have any idea what I'm doing?" And it's daunting for me, and I assume other people as well, to be like, I have to be brave and confident for a month or a year or whatever it is to accomplish this. But you don't. You just have to be confident and have like 8 seconds of courage to start it. And doing that for 8 seconds, building the mental fortitude to start it, or like I can do it and I'm working up my gumption. Here it is. I started. Boom, I now I'm in it. And
Just go
and
make the
then
first step.
and then maybe I fail, or maybe it oscillates between believing and not believing, but if you can come back to, like, 8 seconds of courage, 8 seconds of courage, 8 seconds of courage, that's how I get myself to, like, start new projects or aspirations.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Um, any last thoughts that you'd like to leave with the audience? Impacts, things that you've studied, read, or mentors, things that people have impacted your life with, or one thing that you'd like to pass on and leave with others?
Oh, man. Yeah, I feel like I could talk for quite a while about this
Yeah.
stuff, but, like, if I had to pick one, I think what I'd like to focus on or share with other people right now is just, another, like, creed, if you will, of mine would be, like, change yourself, change the world. So, like, yeah, in college and from a young age, I just, like, wanted to have an impact and wanted to make the world a better place, and thought that maybe it wasn't that good of a place. It is. There's lots of amazing stuff going on. There's lots of horrible stuff going on too. But then it's like, where do you start, or do I even have the power to have like that much change? But then it actually comes from Naropa University's tagline is like, change yourself, change the world. So then I just thought, hey, like I could do that. I can change myself. I can show up to be the best. I can try to make an impact. I can try to make somebody smile. I can try to give back. And that is slowly changing the whole world, you know? So yeah.
Love it. Be the change you want to see in the world, change yourself, change the world. One drop of water goes in, it's never isolated, right? Like it has a ripple effect and you're impacting people every single day, whether you realize it or not, or whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
You're impacting other people. And I'm grateful for our association and getting to sit down and visit with you today. Like I'm feeling inspired and I've learned a lot from you already. And so I look forward to
Awesome.
continuing the friendship and appreciate you taking your time to come all the way down here to come be on the podcast today. And hopefully all of our listeners get a ton from listen to the podcast and they learn as much as I have getting to chat with you and, feel inspired by your story and the things you've been able to do as well. So
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah.
you being here.
Yeah, it's a valuable experience for me too to like regurgitate and have to fill out that form and be like, what do I think or what has led me to be here? It's easy for me to forget. Like I go through waxing and waning of self doubt and not confident, and I'm scared to do stuff, or do I even need to? And so like yeah, I don't want people to think that I have it like all figured out or I'm always
None of us
in
do.
some state of like hyperdrive. I go through all the trials and tribulations that everybody does, and these are the tools that, you know, I've backtracked and looked at that help me overcome.
And one of the things like I've just come to learn over time, you can learn something from everyone and you should try to learn something from everyone that you're around. Sometimes it's what not to do. Sometimes it may be a little more specialized in a certain area of life, but learning from everyone around you, finding opportunities to say like, what can I take from this person? What can I learn from this? Not say, hey, this person knows everything, but finding ways to learn from everyone around you. And whether that's, the lowest person in an organization or anyone anywhere in between or anyone that you interact with, like you should find ways to learn from other people. And you can either learn through your own consequences of life or you can learn from, counsel and input and experiences of other people. And so it can certainly expedite your ability to be able to make good decisions and have favorable outcomes if you can learn from other people rather than just waiting for life to come punch you in the face. And it does to all of us. Everyone gets it. No one's exempt. But taking opportunities to try to learn from other people as much as you can and integrating those patterns in your life is clearly something that I've just recognized. And selfishly, like I started this podcast because I wanted to sit down with people that I felt like were inspiring or excellent or were doing great things in their life. And the pattern that I've just recognized over and over and over again with everyone that accomplishes anything that's exceptional is that there's nothing special about them. They've just chosen to do things that other people are afraid to do,
Mm,
right? Like anyone can go do the same things. It's just they're willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do.
yeah.
And that's what it is. Like life is hard, experiences are going to be difficult, but everything that's good in life is generally on the other side of a hard experience.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, Dylan, appreciate you being here. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks so much for
Yeah.
having me.